Hello, friends.
Hi.
It is me, Flip,
Welcome. And me, Ange.
and we are
And it's
back.
Wednesday.
Yes, with another Wednesday. John, we took your idea. We're calling it our midweek murder sode. Look at you.
Why not? That's smart.
Kelsey says, Marcy
Hey,
says
Marcy.
hello, John. All right.
Yeah.
So, Ange, how's your week so far?
Yeah. Hey. So it's been, what, 2 days?
2 days since we
Is that
last
where we're
saw.
at? Is day two since we've done? Yeah. Since I last talked to you. Hey, Bo. It's going good. We met up at the theater with the founders of the theater, and me and Trevor filmed us all a nice distance apart doing a greeting for this cabaret and then a closing. So we
Sweet.
are almost done editing. We should have that whole thing freaking wrapped up by tomorrow or at least the next day and be able to do a test run.
Awesome.
So that's one where I'm probably going to ask Flip for sure to be on my test preview of that and make sure that we're running it correctly and it's not glitchy and weird.
Yes, for
He and
sure.
yeah, definitely Marcy. Hi. You had a I'm tagging you in. You're gonna have to do a pre-run with me, but it'll probably be next like Thursday or Friday
Okay.
night. So we're gonna give it some time. But yeah, so that's going good. Went to
Awesome.
work for 2 hours today. Cleaned a client's master bathroom and bedroom. That took 2 hours because it's so dusty and so gross in there. Because I haven't been there in a long time.
Oh,
So there's that, and just random clients texting me and saying, "Hey, are you working again?" I'm like, technically, no. But for you, yes. Because
mm-hmm.
I have to think too. I'm like, do I have their house key? So if I get pulled over by a cop and they're asking, where are you going? Home to go in with the key
Right,
that I own. It's not on my driver's license.
right.
But,
But
how
still,
do I explain that I'm essential to an empty house?
I mean, you're a cleaning. You're cleaning, so I mean that technically
I,
is an essential service still.
I think I'm sanitizing. It
Yeah,
smells nicer when I leave.
I was gonna say I think that is technically still an essential. Like my dad's shop is still open. Automotive repair is essential. So like,
Yeah,
which
I
really,
know.
like,
I
you're
know.
not
And that's
driving
me. I'm
your
like, as long
car
as I'm
anywhere. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's me. I'm like, as long as I'm being safe and I'm making sure that I'm protecting my people, I think we're fine.
yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah.
What have you been up to for 2 days?
You're an invited guest. Yes, exactly. Um, Working. This morning I
Yeah.
actually ventured out into the world to go see a client. I
Ooh,
didn't venture too far. I ventured like 5 minutes down the road, but
excellent.
like a vampire.
I am
Um,
an invited guest like a vampire.
and then let's see. Today, the maintenance guys finally came in. They're doing all their precautions and everything. So today he knocked on the door. No, not really knocking. He banged on my door. Like,
Oh
um,
God.
and he came in. He was like, is it everything safe? And I was like, it's literally just me, and nobody here is sick, so you're
Yeah.
good. So he came in. He fixed my dryer. He fixed my freezer. He replaced light
Yay.
bulbs. Which was great. I was like, what the heck is wrong with this dryer? It's clearly running. Like, the
Yeah.
clothes are kind of dry. I just have to run it like 4 times to actually get the clothes
No.
dry. And he went in and he, like, took a vacuum
Dude.
hose and, like, cleaned everything
Yes, he
out. He
did.
pulled out a clump of, like,
Yes.
stuff that was, like, this big from the line. And I was like,
Mm.
holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, do you clean your
Mm-hmm.
lint trap out? And I was like, I clean the lint trap out. That is probably
Yeah.
there from the previous tenants.
Previous people, for sure.
And then the freezer. Oh my God. I was so upset yesterday.
What happened?
I went to go make margaritas,
No.
and the ice in the freezer had like dust and like gross little like moldy looking things and like little
Oh.
buggies on them. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So he cleaned all of that out. He like went in and like
Oh
wiped everything
God.
down, took the motor apart, cleaned all that out. I was like, ugh, ugh. Like,
Yeah,
I,
because your ice maker's spitting out gross ice.
yeah. And then he was cool. He
Ugh.
came back and he fixed the oven light and the other light. And then he looked, because I was sitting in the office here, and he looks in, he goes, I like your recording studio. And I was like, oh, thank you. He's
You
like,
know what that is.
and he's like, I want to be a radio DJ. And I was like,
Wow.
what? That is so cool. He said his dad is a radio DJ back in Puerto Rico. So he wants to do it
Oh,
too.
that's fun.
Yeah. Which was cool. Got to,
Look at you meeting people,
I know.
making friends.
right. Very cool.
It's my new pandemic friend.
I know.
He fixed all my
The
things.
maintenance guy, he comes and he fixes stuff for me, and then he chit-chats. Yeah,
God.
that's it. And hopefully the rest of the week goes by smoothly. I got some paperwork I gotta get done tonight. So
Yum.
what you
Are
drinking?
you also gonna get? I was gonna say, are you also gonna get a second fridge or no?
We want to buy a new fridge.
Okay.
Hopefully soon.
Okay.
I've got everybody on the lookout for a fridge. So if you see a fridge that's reasonably priced, let me know.
Let her know. Let your girl know. Okay. I went to Publix today and I got Sutter Home Pink Moscato because I was like, I'm gonna do this and I want it to taste like Sprite and this is delicious and it's chilled.
It's
I put
true.
it in the fridge when I got home. Yes. What do you have?
So today, I have a bottle of wine there, but I didn't want to open another bottle of wine. But yesterday we went out to Total Wine and we got the big bottles of premix margarita. So that's what I have. I have a premixed pink lemonade margarita.
Yes.
It's delicious. Quarantine friends are forever. Yes, they are. It's cool because I stand out on the balcony in the morning and drink my tea, and he waves to me every morning.
That's adorable.
Because I'm out there at the same time every morning.
Hi, friend. Mm-hmm. You're like, hi, I have a habit.
Yeah.
This is how you get a stalker. Flip. You got to change up that schedule.
I know. I gotta go to the other side and maybe not wave to people in the morning. We'll do. We'll figure it out.
Risk it.
Risk
Oh
it.
my god.
I just like to look at my cows in the morning. Stop. That's exactly what they do every morning.
Why not? That's so good. It's so good. That's me. We have a neighborhood deer, neighborhood armadillo, raccoon, all those kind of critters. So every once in a while we walk out and you walk out to go walk the dog and all of a sudden there's some deer walking through a yard and it's like, hey guys, how's it going? You guys are so pretty.
Aw. Okay.
So tell me your story.
So John here, I feel bad because he came on here the other day and his top fan status was gone because he
What did he do wrong?
So he missed one of our Wednesdays and the algorithm gets messed up when you miss one. So it pulled his top fan status away. Sorry, John.
Who's our top fan now?
I think it's Marissa.
Okay. Because I was trying to think. I'm like, who's here all the time? Marissa, Leah,
Yeah, I think it's Marissa.
Marcy sometimes. Okay. So fun. Good job, Marissa, if it's you.
Sorry, sorry, John. You lost it. But Marissa.
You're gonna have to...
Marissa came for your top spot. Sorry. But John sent me a sad face. John sent me a Star Wars murder because, Monday for John. Monday was, May the 4th be with you. Bo used to have it too.
Oh, hi Linda.
Yes, Monday was hello. Monday was May the 4th be with you, and of course yesterday was Revenge of the 5th. So for all you Star Wars fans out there, it was also Cinco de Mayo, but Revenge of the 5th.
Good Lord.
So John sent me a Star Warsy space murder.
Yes.
They are called the Marconi murders. I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
Not even a little bit.
Apparently there was a plot to murder the Marconi scientists in the 1980s. Didn't know this. That's what he gets for beating me in Murder Hotel Trivia Party.
She's holding a grudge, John.
That's what you guys get.
Or Bo. Who's she yelling at?
I think it's both of them. No, I don't think Bo won. I think John won. John
right.
beat her in the last part. If you guys haven't noticed, we spend all of our time doing murdery things. But if you don't have Jackbox, definitely get it. It's stupid fun. And I think on Steam right now, they're all on sale.
Yes, they are. Because we just went and bought 3 of them and then realized it's the 3 that our friends have. And it's like, well, fuck it. Now we have them at home. So
I think we're going to
get to have parties again. They're at home.
I think we're going to get 4, 5, and 6 next. Oh, she doesn't have Top Fan either. What is going on? The algorithm is probably messed up. I'll figure it out.
Sorry, guys.
Maybe
me.
I'm the top fan. Ange and I are our own top fans.
Like, who are these bitches that keep chiming in?
It's us. All right. So between 1982 and 1990, there was a cluster of strange and grisly deaths among scientists and computer experts working in Britain's high-tech defense industry. Sponsored content.
Jesus.
John said, yeah, his was a clutch victory. Sorry, you guys. Sorry. Many of the deaths were extremely bizarre, and coroners were actually unable to identify the cause of these deaths. So, death by misadventure. Others were judged to be suicides or accidents, despite having clear evidence that proved contrary.
Okay.
Most of the victims were computer scientists that were working for the Marconi Electronic Systems and related companies on top secret defense projects, including the U.S. Strategic Defense Initiative.
Jesus.
Yeah. Due to their work and the oddness of their deaths, by 1987, the national and international press had latched onto this story, basically asking, are these deaths a sabotage by foreign governments, or were they related somehow to the Cold War? Which is possible.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Tony Collins, a correspondent for UK's Computer Weekly, started to receive reports of deaths amongst computer scientists and engineers, and over the next few years, he would file a series of stories that were 25 cases that he felt were connected. That is a lot of suspicious deaths.
Oh, God.
A lot of suspicious deaths here. In 1990, Tony Collins, he wrote a book called Open Verdict, which concluded that the deaths were all suspicious. And he suspected that there was some kind of plot, but he was unable to come up with any firm conclusions. So now people are like, was there actually a murder plot? Yeah. Was there some kind of crazy thing going on? Some kind of conspiracy? What the heck is this? And this is great. This is the season of conspiracy theories, you guys. I'm sorry if we sound crazy every time we talk to you.
We need to actually make those foil hats and just every time just go get this foil hat on today. So we're talking about what's your evidence for these suspicious circumstances. There was a story in March 1982 with the death of a senior computer scientist, Dr. Keith Bowden. He was a contractor for GEC Marconi, which was, again, their major high-tech defense company. One night after attending a social function, Bowden drove his car across a dual carriageway. I don't know what that is. And I don't know. I think it's I was going to make a guess, but I think I'm wrong.
I think it's a 2-lane road.
A 2-way highway?
Yeah. And he plunged off a bridge, down an embankment, into an abandoned rail yard, and died instantly.
Yee.
Was he drunk? I don't know.
Right?
Oh, okay. Well, that answered my question. Police said that he was drunk. And he was driving too fast, but his wife and other people believe otherwise. Friends who were with him denied that he had been drinking at all.
Ooh.
Bowden's solicitor. Bowden's solicitor hired an accident investigator to examine the wreck, and apparently somebody had swapped his tires that were normally really pristine. He kept really good care of his vehicle. They switched his tires with a set that were worn and old.
Oh. Huh.
Suspect.
I mean, it's no cutting a gas line, but it is pretty.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
It fucks with the car.
right. I mean, it's dangerous. If you're going too fast and your tires are bald. Yeah, I could see it.
Yep. Yep. Oh, God.
3 years later, a radar designer named Roger Hill killed himself with a shotgun. We all know how I feel about people killing themselves with shotguns. So we won't get into that. Later that year, Jonathan Wash died after plunging out of a hotel window.
Jesus.
And the coroner returned basically just an open verdict. Like, he was just like, oh. Maybe he jumped. Maybe he didn't. Who knows?
Oh, my God. No.
Maybe he jumped. Maybe he didn't. Seems weird.
Open verdict.
Open verdict.
Okay.
Like, maybe, the UK has some interesting names for their deaths.
Well, because that's one I hadn't heard that before.
Open
I didn't know
verdict.
that was a thing you could do. Because normally, I guess all of ours, they file something.
So I think
they
here
stick with
in the
something.
US, they have like your typical like suicide, homicide, and then they'll rule deaths as like suspicious circumstances, but they don't. That's what they rule it as, a suspicious circumstance or an accidental,
Or misadventure.
No, that's UK. Misadventures are in the UK.
Is it?
We don't
Yeah, that's true. Because my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have misadventures in the US. We have
So
suspicious
you're saying I have to move in order to be?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to move so I can get qualified as misadventure. Okay, go ahead.
Then we have Vimal. I can't pronounce his last name. Dajibhai. He was 24. Nope. Not going to try. I'm sorry. He was 24 and he jumped off a bridge in Bristol.
Oh my God.
He's been
just one after the other.
He had been working on a string of connected people suddenly dying. Must all be suicide, obviously. Yes, precisely.
Right.
It is suicide. He jumped off the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol. He had been working at the Marconi computer control system for Stingray torpedoes. Write it in the chat. I will. Hold on. Dajibhai. Okay. So yeah,
but pronounce it out loud for us.
So yeah, pronounce it really loudly so we can hear you. Call me later and let me.
Dajibai?
Dajibai. I don't know.
Dajibai?
I don't know.
Dajibai? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he had been working on the control systems for Stingray torpedoes. Hi, Joey.
Hi, Joey.
Another open verdict was returned on that one. Did you hear that? Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Bo.
That's exactly it. We're not going to repeat it, though.
Yeah.
Because you did it so well.
Another open verdict was, of course, returned on that one. He just died, apparently. He was found with his pants around... Hi, Zuri!
Hey, Zuri.
He was found with his pants around his ankles and a needle-sized puncture wound in his butt.
Sounds like poisoning.
Open verdict. He just jumped.
Stop it. Now say it.
Dajibai. Yeah, that sounds about right. Vimal Dajibai.
Vimal Dajibai.
Yeah.
There, we did it.
The Bristol coroner was, of course, concerned about that, but open verdict. Whatever.
Yeah.
Then they say that this is probably the most disturbing of all the deaths, which happened 2 months later after Vimal died. So this is 1986. Was Ashard Sharif, who's 26. He was another computer science who worked on the satellite guidance systems at the Marconi. He traveled to Bristol, tied one end of a ligature to his neck, the other to a tree, then jammed his foot in the accelerator of the car and decapitated himself.
Oh, okay. That's not where I
Casual.
thought that was going.
Totally possible.
Oh. Well, totally possible he did it. Oh. Thank you.
Angela, you are telling me that this man tied a rope around his neck, tied a rope around a tree, then just slammed on the accelerator and just decapitated himself. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it just seems so absolutely outrageous to me.
I mean, he did it. Like, wait, what did they put him as? Did they put him as suicide?
Is this a demon, right, Zuri? Like, what is going on here?
I know.
Obviously.
So they did. They did.
How the fuck do you decapitate yourself? No.
I think it's something you can stop yourself.
Yeah. I cannot see doing that to myself.
Because unless it was like a brick or something that you really can't fight with, and then it was like, it's the last minute, you're like, well, fuck, I guess I'm going. I don't know. It's possible. It's possible.
That's like crazy, like willpower to commit suicide. Like you like really want to commit suicide at that point.
Well, and that's the thing. After you go through all the rest of these, it's like absolutely not. This happened to these people, or there was, or there was some kind of drug involved, and they were seeing things and being told things. Go ahead, put the rainbow thing around your neck. It's golden.
Right? Zuri says, "Is it a demon?" You know what? Maybe these people were all possessed, which leads to the next part of what I was going to say.
Jesus, really?
So, I just can't. They noticed that he'd been acting weird the day before this incident. He was seen. It's a demon. Shotgun sounds easier at this point. For real. Like, at this point, I do believe in shooting yourself in the head with a shotgun. Like, I don't know.
Just drink some chemicals. It's fine.
Like, so yeah, the day before his death, he had been acting very strange. They noticed that he was seen paying for a hotel room with a bundle of high denomination banknotes.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I don't particularly like to carry around $50 bills and $100 bills. Like, that's just not my thing. Break it down for me in smaller money, and then if you have a bundle of it, like, that makes me feel like somebody gave you like $1,000 in ones, and you were just like
let's go pay
so
this.
Drugs, hallucinogens, yes. Like, I can't imagine what the hell is going on here. So excuse me, I'm like choking.
She's got the Rona.
I'm choking. A relative
Every
that
time
was
someone coughs.
I have Rona, you guys. I'm sorry. Just kidding. I was just choking.
I can catch it through the computer. What are you doing?
What? Listen, and just seeing comments before I am. So. A relative summoned to identify his body noticed something suspicious about the car. There was a metal rod lying on the floor next to the accelerator, and they're wondering if that had been used to wedge the pedal down. Now, again, here's my thought here. 25 people, though, more... John, I can't.
Yeah.
Seems about right, John. Seems about right. Demon is just jumping from person to person at this point. So they're thinking, had the metal rod been used to wedge the pedal down?
Okay, like I was saying, a brick, but instead, metal rod.
To wedge the pedal
That's the thing,
down?
someone...
Uh-oh, did our video cut out?
Is this the guy that decapitated himself in the car?
Yeah, did our video cut out?
No, I'm seeing it.
Okay, listen, this system here is not the best.
I'll say I'll find out in a second. No, I'm still seeing it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, though. If he was incapacitated, somebody else put tie and rods, and then he goes because somebody else set it up.
Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
Facebook does weird things on the screen sometimes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all. It came back. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, right. The demon's coming for me. I should have shut my mouth. I should have never told this story. John, look what you did. It's very unbelievable to me to think that he could have tied this rope around his neck, tied the rope around the tree, wedged the metal bar into... It's not Facebook, it's China.
Lord.
Like, wedged the metal bar in, and then was just like, okay, here we go. Like, no. Mm-mm. No. And then my other thought here is, he does that thing... he would have been like leaning forward if he was wedging the bar in there to set it up. So he would have been leaning forward when the car accelerated. Which means that when he jolted back, his whole head would have been like, woof, like against the back windshield. Ugh. Sorry for that visual if that's not what you guys needed today. But I gave it to you because it's what I wanted to do. I do it for you guys. The coroner was like, yo, this is not a fucking coincidence anymore.
Oh, after how many? Like 8?
Like 8 people died. He was
there's
like,
a pattern.
These are very elaborate suicides. Doesn't seem likely. No suicide notes, no nothing. Just paranoia the day before. Yep. You got to remember that these people are working for the UK and US government in the time of like Cold War. But what if he was trying to be safe and he had his seatbelt on? Were there any weird calls made or letters sent? Not that I've noticed. Not that this article says it all. This shit is wild, you guys.
And they're all working on flux capacitors or what?
Yeah, right. No, they're all working on torpedoes, flux capacitors. No, what is this? Are we time traveling? Like, maybe they were.
You told me what we were talking about, and I was like, I'm gonna go down this comic book stream, and I have all my shit chiming in after this goes into a weird way. So, go ahead.
So they're all out here like working on like stuff for the U.S. and UK governments, torpedoes, all kinds of like war materials. So they know too much, so the government got rid of them. It's totally possible. That's what I'm saying.
We're not saying it didn't happen that way.
They were working a missile project. Yep. Project Star Wars.
There you go. Hence the May the 4th.
Yes, hence the May the 4th. But yeah, so now the coroner's like, this is not a fucking coincidence. And he's like, I'm not going to complete the inquest on this until I know how these 2 men with seemingly no connection came to meet their end in Bristol. Of course, he never found out why. Both men were suspected to be working on a top secret project called Cosmos, which involved underwater guidance systems. Further establishing that connection between them, but still it's not enough of a connection to make sense as to why you came to Bristol to kill yourself. There were thousands of people who worked in the UK's defense industry in the mid-'80s, and those deaths were spread out over 3 years, and they could have easily been dismissed as coincidences. And of course, at that time, nobody was making all of these connections between like, oh, all these people died. But then between 87 and 88, the pace progressively, like it increases massively. So in 87, they have Richard Pugh, who was a computer expert in the defense industry and a consultant to MOD. He was found in his flat. Yeah, they know way too much. Could have been double agents for the Russians, since it was, that is possible. He was working as a consultant to the MOD. His body was found in his flat. Okay. So in his flat, his feet were bound. A plastic bag was on his head, and a rope was coiled around his body.
You could totally do that to yourself.
The coroner's verdict was accident due to sexual misadventures.
Stop it. Stop it.
Yes.
No.
Accident due to sexual misadventures. Oh. I am not saying that I know anything about like
fun with asphyxiation.
Autoerotic asphyxiation. Like, I don't know anything about that. I don't sit here like,
just know what I've seen on CSI. No.
But no. I'm just trying to say that, was this Was his eggplant out?
Yeah, because that's what I'm like. If he's fully clothed, then why are they calling it sexy time?
No, it doesn't say that his eggplant was out. But I'm just
But was
trying
his
to
dick out?
Well, yeah, he left the eggplant out on the counter. No, I'm just trying to say I don't know a whole lot about autoerotic asphyxiation, but mad good point. It would be out if yes, that's what like. I don't know a whole lot about this whole situation, but I'm just trying to say that if I was gonna like tie myself up to like strangle myself to get off, I would not bound my feet together.
No,
Like where the
it's all
where
it's
the
all
fuck
in
is the fun in that?
no kink
Seems
shaming. You don't know.
strange. Yeah, no kink shaming. I'm not kink shaming, but I'm just trying to figure out like that.
Yeah.
That takes it to a point that I'm scared of. Like,
Well, because you gotta tie up your feet, then tie up your whole body, then put the bag on your head. Okay,
Right.
so tie up your feet, then put the bag on your head, then tie up your
his
body. How are
feet
you
were
tying up
tied-
your own body?
His feet were wrapped up with tape. Like he taped his ankles together. I don't like what? That doesn't make
So
any
sexual
sexual
misadventure?
misadventures. Yeah,
Oh man.
just a splash of media for good measure, right? Like, why are you blowing your horn? Sorry, the neighbors are doing weird stuff.
Oh.
So then a few days later, another scientist who's involved in the MOD top secret program, Dr. John Britton, dies in his own garage of carbon monoxide poisoning, which again is suicide.
Yeah, I was
Which
saying, looks
is-
and sounds like.
Totally possible. People do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like all of these explanations are all over the place to keep everyone off the scent. Yeah, I think they're trying to, if these are connected, whoever is doing this is purposely like making these all suicides that seem possible. I'm just trying to say I'm not bound in my own feet to get off, but whatever. So the next month, another Marconi engineer, David Skills, he also dies of carbon monoxide poisoning found in his car with a hose pipe connected to the exhaust.
Ugh.
KGB. Yes. Which is really crazy because we keep talking about these same groups every time we have these weird-ass conspiracies. In February, 2 more defense engineers die from Victor Moore, who died of an overdose, and Peter Papel, who was another victim of carbon monoxide poisoning in his own vehicle.
Okay, it sounds like someone's got a good handle on here's how we make it look like a suicide across the board, which is easy to do to someone else. You just incapacitate them, put them in there, start the shit.
And then, boop, close the
that could be
garage down.
murder. Yeah. Okay.
Papel's death was particularly troubling because the night before, he spent the evening at a friend's house. Right. Sorry. Papel's death is troubling because the night before he spent the evening with his friends. Then he and his wife returned home and he put the car in the garage. Like it was just a normal thing.
Right.
And then the next morning, his mom finds his body. His wife finds his body. Ready for this? Mm-hmm. Jammed underneath the car with his mouth next to the exhaust pipe.
No. You don't just do things that way.
Who the
A person doesn't do that to
No,
themselves
that is
way.
okay.
You don't.
I'm just trying to say, if you are trying to commit suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning, you
don't
just
suck the tailpipe.
No, like who the fuck does that? These are weird, you guys. Police were unconvinced that this is a suicide because it seems impossible for him to jam his body underneath his vehicle and then position his head next to the exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
So now we have another open verdict.
Oh, good God. We only have 2 of those so far, right?
Three of these. Three open verdicts.
Okay, 3.
John Whiteman was supposedly drowned himself in the bathtub.
You can't.
His body was
Okay.
surrounded. Ready for this? He supposedly drowned himself in the bathtub. His body is surrounded by pills and empty alcohol bottles, and the autopsy reveals that he had no drugs or alcohol in his system. You cannot drown yourself in a bathtub.
No.
Your body does
No.
not let you do it. Your brain does not let you drown yourself in a bathtub.
Right. He would have all that shit in his system and
Right.
then have gone unconscious in order to drown.
Right.
But clearly he didn't. He didn't have any of that.
Your body
Okay, keep
goes
going.
into fight or flight mode, and it's just not possible.
Huh?
It just that one really frustrates the fuck out of me.
Yeah, because you're like, way to try and make it. Like they're not going to do a toxicology test.
At least you tried. In March, David Sands, who was a senior scientist working on the computer-controlled radar system at a Marconi sister company, made a... That's why I had to share this story with y'all. Shit is just too fucking wild. It is fucking wild. Like,
Yeah.
David Sands' murder, plain and simple, was there water on the floor? They don't say anything about that, but yes, yeah. No, they didn't say anything about whether or not there's water on the floor. Somebody, like, was he fighting or was he just... I'm going to say that he was probably incapacitated, too. And they just tried to make it seem like... Because, again, if he had drowned himself in the water, he would have gone into fight or flight mode. You would have found water splashed outside of the tub. Because you got to think, you put yourself in and you're like... Yeah, there's no way. I mean, I have fallen asleep in the bathtub before. Not to the point of
Wake
drowning
yourself up
myself.
going,
I feel myself slipping and I'm like, oh God, yeah. So yeah, David Sands, he makes a sudden U-turn in his car and then crashes into an empty cafe. And his car just so happened to be loaded with cans of gasoline, causing the car to combust into a fireball.
Well, that's convenient.
He was only identified because of dental records, so
Oh.
he fried to a crisp boy.
Thank you.
Crispy.
Stop it. Oh, Jesus.
John's gonna hop in the comments in a minute. Crispy.
It's been gross. Gross of the dead.
In April, in an almost... Hello, Joey.
Hello, Joey.
You're just like you're
Joey,
going for
go
a jog.
away.
I'm wearing joggers.
Yeah. I told Joey. Convenient. A little too convenient. I was also super weird about all these, even if it was a government agency. They're really crazy and, like, normally these agents are a little more discreet. John, crispy. So in April, in an almost identical fashion to Richard Pugh, who started off this 1987 thing here, Mark Weisner, who was 24, was found dead, again with a plastic bag on his head, then cling film wrapped around his face. And again, the verdict was death by sexual misadventure.
No.
Why both, though?
No.
Like, again, I'm not kink shaming anybody, but I feel like that's a little extreme. Like, you wrapped plastic wrap around your head, and then you put a
That
plastic
seems like someone's
bag
trying to
on
kill
it.
somebody.
Like, that's not how that works, y'all.
Okay.
Where else are we? The previous year, Marconi had purchased defense electronics from the firm Plessy. Within a month between May and June of 1987, 2 of the scientists there were found dead. Michael Baker, who was 22, and then Frank Jennings, who was 60. At the start of 1988, a lab technician, Russell Smith, who was 23, jumped off a cliff near Cornwall. Then a senior computer engineer at Marconi, Trevor Knight, was the victim of yet another suicide by exhaust pipe.
No.
Then,
No. There's a pattern.
Right. Then in August, there were 2 electrocutions of senior scientists at Marconi. At Alistair Beckham, who was 50 and was a computer engineer, was believed to be working on a top secret pilot program for the America's Strategic Defense Initiative. After gardening on Sunday afternoon, he went to his shed, attached wires to his chest, pushed them into a power socket, and with a handkerchief jammed in his mouth, he hit the power.
Stop it. No. No. No, he didn't.
So I put a handkerchief in my mouth. I took 2 wires and I put them on my chest, put the handkerchief in my mouth, and just went boop.
No. No.
His wife is like entirely this company could have been doing some shady shit, and when somebody raises concern, the company hires people to kill them. Each branch has its own assassins, hence why each yeah, that is true. Beckham's wife is like, oh fuck no, my husband did not kill himself.
There you go.
Beckham was highly secretive about his work, and just hours after his death, men from the Ministry of Defense arrived to the scene and took documents from his home. In a similar manner, Marconi director John Ferry, who was 60, jammed strip wires into his fillings and electrocuted himself.
Oh, God.
That is some extreme shit.
Thinking of this. I thought the worst one was the decapitating himself in the car shit. That,
Could you? John says totally normal. Could you imagine being like,
no,
I want to commit suicide. What is the most creative way I can commit suicide? Got it.
No. No. That didn't happen.
But let me tell you, whoever did this, they are some creative motherfuckers.
They sat there, they're spinning the wheel, and they're like, okay,
yes,
that one's, with the exhaust. Okay, and this one's tying up sex thing. This one is, we haven't done fillings yet.
They just have like those dice with like different parts of the body on them, and they're like,
stop it.
All right, give me electrocution.
And teeth, and they're like, okay, well, let's go figure it out.
How do I do it? Yeah. Come on. Of course, now people are like, could all of these have been like done by coincidence? Like, it's just purely coincidence that 20 people are dead.
No.
There are several stories in the press. No, there are several stories in the press that appeared questioning whether there was actually some kind of KGB 2 electrocuted in a row. Yes. So really what we're getting is like 1 really wild one, 2. It's like, 1 really wild one, 2 similar, 1 wild one. And then again, 1 really wild one, 2 similar, 1 wild one.
Ew, you're right. Okay.
So all of these news articles are now questioning whether the KGB or Eastern Bloc is involved, and they had some kind of conspiracy to kill all of these scientists.
Yes.
Several MPs and trade union leader Clive Jenkins called for an inquiry as to all of these people's deaths, basically stating that all of these deaths are statistically incredible. How far about are these deaths? What do you mean? Like how far are they spread out? Space between?
Yeah, because the first one started in 180.
Yeah, it's like you have like 5 months of deaths, and then nothing, and then it's like 2 or 3 months in between, and then you have another 5 deaths, and then a couple months in between, and then you have another 5 deaths.
It could be a serial killer that likes these specific people. If there's that much pattern.
That's true. But serial killers don't change up their MO that often. And
the only thing they have in common is what they did for work, right?
Yeah, and the only thing they have in common is what they do for work. But then I feel like serial killers don't switch up their MO that often. Like if it was going to be a serial killer who was going to they were cleaning house. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Because if it's a serial killer who's going to do staging people's deaths to look like suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning, then they'd stick to a majority of those. They wouldn't just be like, John says,
Yeah. And now let's try this.
yeah. And then they're like, you know what? The autoerotic asphyxiation one, that's played out. Let me electrocute him.
Yeah.
Like, they don't change up MOs like that. So yes, they're like, what the heck is going on? These are all statistically incredible. And he felt like there was a concern among the union for like all of these deaths. They're like, what's going on? There's a cluster of suicides, a cluster of violent deaths. These are murders. These people are not just committing suicide.
No.
So, at this time we have Margaret Thatcher, who is in, control of government. Mm-hmm. She dismisses these calls for the inquiry, and she's like, these are all just deaths. Never heard of a serial killer decapitating a guy with their car either. Yeah, that's a lot of work for a serial killer, anyways. So yeah, Margaret.
I saw this movie series. It was called Saw, and let me just say, he was on a roll.
But his whole
true,
MO
right?
was playing
Is that a real?
game. Yeah, but his whole MO was playing a game, and like
That's
you trying
true.
to like, yeah. So Margaret Thatcher is like, nah. She basically says that all of these deaths are not statistically unusual at all, and they're just coincidences. She was paid off 100%. Or she 100% knew what the fuck was going on and was like, yeah, government involvement. Totally. She thinks they're all just coincidences, and the elaboration, these elaborate plans are all just exasperated by people's high levels of stress. So I'm stressed out, so I put stripped wires to my teeth and electrocuted myself.
No.
I'm stressed out, so I tied a rope around my neck and a rope around a tree and jammed my gas pedal and decapitated myself.
I've got to put that into a movie at some
No,
point.
the fuck I
Both
didn't.
of those.
No, the fuck I didn't. Like, so then another set of evidence that proves that this shit is just wild. Like, there's no way. Is just like unusual suicide methods. Professor Colin Pritchard said that, who is an expert in mental illness and suicides, thinks that some of these deaths are statistically uncommon. Suicide is one of the most prevalent causes of early death in men, especially young men. You got to remember that most of these men are 22 to
Yep.
like most of the deaths are 22 to like 28, and then you have the occasional few that are 50s and 60s.
Right.
Anybody that we're talking about that's higher up, they are 50s and 60s, but then all the other techs are all like 24. Mm-hmm. He believes that there are factors in these cases that make suicide verdicts seriously unlikely. 4 of the men share unusual elements. 4 of the men had complained to family and friends that they had been tasked with doing strange, impossible, and unscientific tasks.
Oh.
All 4 of those men who said that they were asked to do strange, unscientific tasks committed suicide in extremely violent and bizarre ways. He studied numerous suicide cases and thinks that extreme methods of suicide are only normally associated with people who are suffering from severe mental breakdowns. And he's talking about severe mental breakdowns and severe, what they call mental disturbance. Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. Severe mental breakdowns, severe mental disturbance, to an extent that these people wouldn't even be able to hold jobs. They wouldn't live normal lives. We're talking about people who are like having like severe mental breaks from schizophrenia and bipolar
Right.
disorder. We're not talking about people who are just like, I'm stressed out. Like, the men were all employed up until the day of their death and had no other, and this is all of the men. They were all employed and had no signs of mental illness or other disturbances.
So the common factor is their job then. Like, oh,
You have no other signs of mental illness. I'm talking like none of these men had talked about having depression. None of these men talked about having severe anxiety. They're just saying, I'm stressed out at work and they're asking me to do weird shit and I'm not doing it.
mm-hmm.
Then the 4 men who have the strangest deaths recently found new jobs and were preparing to leave those jobs within a few days of their death.
Okay, yeah, no, they're not suicides. No.
And those same 4 men had recently arranged appointments with their union directors. Maybe it was actually just some kind of mind control project gone wrong. They were activated, lost their shit, and killed themselves.
I mean, why not?
Not impossible. You've got to remember that even here in the US in the 60s and 70s, we were doing some weird ass mind control shit, giving people LSD and shit. So, is it not possible that in places like the UK and these people, they're all British, some of them were Arab, some of them were Indian, who are all coming to work for this company? It's possible.
Yeah.
They are wondering what the strange unscientific projects were that these men were complaining of and why they had all booked appointments with the union leader. People are starting to wonder, had they stumbled upon something at their jobs that forced them to have to be silenced?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to say that if my job asks me to do some weird shit that like doesn't make any sense, I'm like, why though?
Yeah.
Can you show me where the policy changed that I need to do that? I'm not just doing something weird.
Right. So it sounds like they were like, no, I'm going to go get a new job. I'm going to contact my union to make sure, blah, blah, blah. And then people that make plans like that, like they always say people that, they committed suicide, but you find, ticket stubs for a show tomorrow night, and stuff like things that they were planning on doing. You're switching jobs.
Snitches
You're not
get
killing
stitches.
yourself.
Yeah, and that is a huge thing, that people who commit suicide typically don't plan for their future.
Mm-hmm.
People who commit suicide, and unfortunately a lot of people with mental health issues, or as they're calling them in the UK, mental disturbances, they don't plan towards their future too often. That's how you can typically tell if somebody's actually going to commit suicide.
Yeah. Have you heard the thing about we're not supposed to say commit suicide? It's completed suicide? Because commit makes it sound like a crime.
Well, in most states, suicide is a crime.
I know it is. I know. But as it relates to mental health and stuff, they completed suicide. And that's on some of my other podcasts, that's what they say is completed suicide.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. For anybody that doesn't know. Yeah. But anyway.
Then they talk about sexual misadventures as a method of murder. Of course, now you're talking about a lot of these deaths being linked to sex games that are gone wrong. Intelligent expert Conrad Black says that sexual misadventure is a common method of disguising murder in the world of espionage.
Yeah, because it looks like you were having a good sexy time and something went wrong, when in reality it's, hey baby, let me just tie these up and just kind of...
And Black tells the Daily Record that disposing of an enemy and making it look like a perverted fantasy gone wrong is actually in the training manuals of every spy agency from M16 to Minisode. So where was Zuri when she said KGB and M16?
Yeah.
A sex game cover is a very useful mechanism of murder because it provides a disguise for the actual means and method of their death. And then it completely trashes the reputation of the victim and stops any energy towards any other type of investigation.
Yep. Because they're like, no, clearly this is what this was.
Right.
and we don't want to touch it. And some people are still weirded out by anything related to sex at all, that they go, no, no, no,
Right.
no, no.
Sorry, to see previous comments. Exactly.
Exactly.
Then we talk about foreign sabotage. The Marconi deaths weren't the only unexplained, violent, or unusual deaths among defense workers in Europe in the 1980s. In West Germany in 1986, there were several incidents involving individuals associated with America's Strategic Defense Initiative. That's the Star Wars program.
Yeah.
The Strategic Defense Initiative was an ambitious program that was set to create a space-based anti-nuclear weapon shield. So I feel like this is something pretty common. Like, I read about this in American history.
Nice.
But yeah, they were trying to create this anti-nuclear weapon shield that would have rendered the Soviet Union's nuclear capabilities useless. Which seems wild, right? They're just gonna shoot this thing up in space and like put a giant shield over us.
I mean, they do it in Wakanda. I'm just gonna say.
So cool though. Like, they were reading comic books and they were like,
Yes.
"Look at that! Brilliant!" Like,
Yeah. They go, I bet that's possible. Let's work on this.
So in July, Karl-Heinz Beckertz, who was a director at, what is it, Siemens? Yeah, I think it's Siemens. They like make TVs and stuff.
Gotcha.
And he was an SDI contractor who was killed by a car bomb in Munich. Then in 86, Gerald von Brachmal. Hi, Joey.
Say it again.
Brachmal
Von Brachmo. Okay.
was a senior advisor in SDI negotiations who was killed. And then there were attacks on other firms that were related to the SDI, and German prosecutors believed that they were all made targets.
Jesus.
Then you have similar deaths and disappearances amongst defense figures in Sweden and Italy that occur all at the same time, giving rise to the suspicion that there was an Eastern Bloc plot to attack Western defense capabilities and the SDI.
Okay.
Attempting to undermine an enemy's defense capability by, of course, murdering all of their scientists is not uncommon. The US, UK, and Israel have all been known to strategically stage accidents to remove high-ranking enemy scientists for political ends, you know.
So scary.
I'm not trying to say that the CIA is doing crazy shit. We don't know. That just makes me think of, like, Scandal when they used to do crazy shit like that.
It goes all the way to the top.
If nobody's seen Scandal, you should definitely watch it. All of this,
I haven't in a hot minute. It's on Netflix, right?
all of the seasons are on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good time, y'all. That's a trip.
Fantastic
That is a
show.
trip of a
Fantastic show.
show.
In recent years, the top 4 Iranian nuclear scientists have all been killed. Did anybody see the movie Anna? In the beginning, Russia, former USSR, kidnapped and murdered. The movie sounds familiar.
See the movie. Heard about it. Haven't seen it.
U.S. intelligence agents. Oh, man. So, yeah, the top 4 Iranian nuclear scientists have all been killed by Israel's Mossad in an attempt to derail Iran's nuclear program. Killing targets in a foreign country is also not uncommon in coordinated attack. It's possible. It seems like it. Like, you try to go after everybody between 84 to 89. You go out and you kill all these people. She sent decapitated heads back to the CIA. Holy shit. Killing targets in a foreign country is also not uncommon. In 78, Georgy Markov was murdered on the Waterloo Bridge in London by agents of the Bulgarian secret police who were aiding the KGB.
Okay.
And then many of the Marconi scientists were either involved directly or peripherally to the Star Wars program and other related projects. Is it on Netflix or Hulu? I don't know. Sorry, hook us up. And now they're thinking, like, could all of these deaths have been related to the Russian or East German orchestrated murders to kind of dismantle the SDI? Because you got to remember, this is the 80s. Russia, of course, with the
Yes.
Cold War, and then Germany just fucking hates us. At that time, it's on Prime,
Yay.
Hulu, and Prime.
I don't have Hulu, but we got Prime. Ooh.
This shit is wild.
I
So
mean, I say
now
yes.
they're saying that there's all kinds of like evidence against that. This whole like thing. You're gonna have to really convince me.
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
The British government, Marconi, and many press members blame stress and high pressure defense industries for all these clusters of suicide. Stress has been cited as a problem in the secret defense industry, and they think is like the main contributor. And of course, suicide is the most common form of death in men from 20 to 49, which is the median age bracket that all of these men fall into. Therefore, it shouldn't be unexpected to find a fair number of suicides in a male-dominated occupation.
Yeah, otherwise that's a really good cover for all the murders you're fucking doing.
Right. And again, you've got super tight secrecy. I'm moving to another job. I'm not going to necessarily take your secrets with me, but I'm moving to another job, and you know I'm moving to another job, and you want to make sure I keep my mouth shut
Yeah.
without
Don't
having
talk
to
my union
pay
head.
anybody off.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know good and well
Okay.
you're not giving me a fucking severance package. Some of the widows commented on how their husbands were not able to talk about work when they were at home, and if they were having trouble with their job, they couldn't talk about it, and they think that that could be, you know, some kind of contributing factor, but I don't know. I don't see that being very likely.
Not impossible, but
Severance package. Decapitation. Yes. It is a literal severance
literal
package.
severance package.
Again, this is all just some kind of crazy conspiracy, and maybe I'm just a fucking crazy person. But
Yeah,
again,
maybe it is just a bunch of suicides.
between 1982 and 1990, 25 people die, and that's kind of fucking mysterious to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. They think, again, in this article right here kind of sums all of this up. And, you know, you have 6 scientists who die under mysterious circumstances, deaths that are all ruled suicide and accidents. 2 of them are dying driving their vehicles. 1 has a car that's packed full of gasoline. People tying the ropes to necks, you know, fucking 4 people dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. Shit doesn't make any sense.
No.
And it, like I said, you get a lot of opposition from the British Parliament when you want to look into this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem...
I'm going, no, it's closed. It's fine. We know exactly what
we
it
know
is.
exactly what happened to this person. We don't have to worry about it anymore. Again, I like this one. They call it a James Bond-esque set of assassins. Again, they're basically saying that they think that these are people from the KGB or like other British spies. This here references American spies, but I can't... You have people who are working on American defense programs. Why the hell would they? I mean, unless, of course, we're killing people because we don't want people to know about what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make sense on purpose. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, that's why these murders don't make any sense. Like, they want people to be like, oh, really weird. Could just be a coincidence.
Right.
Again, a lot of these scientists are working on classified projects. And also what is super interesting is that while they might have been working on like the same project, none of these scientists knew each other.
Okay.
So they were all working separately on unclassified projects, but they were working towards the same goal, but none of these men worked together. They didn't know each other. They weren't friends. They had never crossed paths at work.
Well, and a lot of times, especially in secret work or whatever, you do that. You split up the task and you make sure that those people don't know each other, so that way secrets don't get shared and people plan their own thing. But if you know that these people are all technically working together, even though they don't know each other, and something's gone wrong, and you need to take them all out.
Because here's the thing. 4 of these guys, who's to say, it doesn't specify whether or not these 4 guys were all working on the same portion of the project.
Right.
But say 4 of these guys are working on the same project. Right? But they're each working on their own little individual piece. Right. Now you go in there and you say to each one, like you guys, I'm assuming that all of you have seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Thank you, yes.
And and like the dude who's like spying, you know what I'm talking about? The guy who like
Slugworth?
Yeah, that guy. And he's sent to like purposely like get all these kids to like spy. Could you imagine like somebody goes in and they're like, "Hey, you're working on this thing. I want you to do this absolutely outrageous task for me."
Christy, stop it. He wants them to bring him everlasting gobstoppers. Spoiled it.
God. And this guy, like, you know, somebody comes in that also works for the company and asks you to do something fucking outrageous, and you're like, And then all of you decide to quit your jobs in the next week.
Yep.
If they weren't all killed by the same set of people, different people, and people infiltrated their company and were trying to kill these people off.
Okay, so here's what Trevor's saying on this. So bits and pieces of a classified project can be unclassified individually, because these people were working on unclassified stuff, right? But when you put them all together to make the thing or the plan, that's when it becomes classified.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What's up? Oh,
You
Joey's
take
here
out all
again.
the pieces in order to get rid of the big picture.
Yeah.
Joey, we are live broadcasting. Go away.
It's a common practice in the military and defense industry as a whole. That's what I'm saying. Like, this just seems pretty suspect. And then when you have 4 people who could possibly all be working on the same classified project who all decide to leave,
Yep.
you gotta take them out.
Even if they don't know each other.
Right.
They've all hit the same hitch and went, what?
Yeah.
No, I'm not in for this. Thank you.
Because clearly they must have all been working on the same thing, because their boss comes in and is like, "Hey, I need you to do this outrageous task."
Yeah. I wonder what it was.
I don't know, but it had nothing to do with their scientific stuff. So
I need for you to give your actual blood to the machine.
yeah, I need you to kill your entire family and sacrifice them to the defense gods.
We're going to need your sperm. We're going to start growing people Matrix style in order to make the machine work.
Right? Like, what the hell?
I don't know.
I don't know, but this is a wild story. That's really it.
So they're all still just listed under whatever they were finalized as.
Nobody's doing anything.
Wow.
They were just like, nah. Don't look into it.
Good.
You don't want to know too
aliens
much.
aren't real.
You don't want to know too much.
That's bonkers.
Just like the U.S. Hey, there's a pandemic right now, but pay no attention to that. Look at all these pictures of UFOs.
Yeah.
What
I'm
the
just. There's also murder hornets. Just get ready.
I'm
Murder
so
hornets.
excited for the murder hornets. I can't wait.
Stop it. Someone just posted it's a still of little what's his name in that Stan. What's that movie with Macaulay Culkin where he dies from a bee sting?
Oh,
My Girl.
Yeah. He's not wearing his glasses.
I was traumatized all the children. No spoilers on that one, guys. Go watch My Girl. Macaulay Culkin dies.
John says, plot twist, the government is just a big cult and they're sacrificing everyone. It's a twist. What a twist.
Oh my god. Okay. So that's your whole story?
That's my whole story, you guys.
And we're doing it because they were working on a thing called
Project Star Wars.
Project Star Wars. May the 4th be with you guys. Okay. Are you ready for the dumb shit I found?
Hold on, wait. CIA, KGB, M16. Please don't come after me and Angela. I don't know what the
No,
fuck
we're
you
just
were
talking
doing.
about we're not serious. We have no we absolutely believe that these were all suicides. They were
That's what
absolutely
reopening things
suicides
is
and
now.
nothing fishy happened.
Never. I would
Yeah.
never ever think that my government would purposely kill people.
No, never.
Never.
So, okay, first of all,
Suri said that's
A lot
what
of my-
reopening things is. It's assisted suicide. That's what we're doing now.
this shit ties in totally to what I'm about to talk about. So first of all, okay. I think you know, and some of our viewers know, I have been taking what we're going to call APMCU. So I have been watching all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in chronological order according to what happens in the story.
Yes,
Okay.
Zuri, God bless America.
Jesus. So I finally finished last night with Endgame. Okay. There was something, we were watching some little flashback part, like YouTube videos or whatever, and one of them mentioned
I love paying taxes. I'm sorry.
who what?
Zuri said, I love paying taxes. That's it.
Yes, praise that government.
Yes.
Praise them real hard. Okay, so we finished Endgame, and I went back and we were watching some YouTube video, and it was talking about how Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Iron Man, in case you all aren't familiar, in Iron Man 1, when he is all like under and whatever, they were talking about how he had done his Ninth Symphony and he needed to die before his 10th project, something like that. And I'm sitting here watching this going, that's the Curse of the Knights. We talked about that on our fucking podcast. So I was like, look, it got referenced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then you mentioned something about this. And anyway, where's I going with this? The government is... so Thanos snaps his fingers. Fucking spoilers, guys. If you haven't watched Endgame and Infinity War by now, that's on you. Okay? He snaps
It's been
his
like 2
fingers and half
years.
the population...
Like, get it together.
He snaps his fingers, half the population dies. And I'm sitting here going, I mean, is that not the plan right now? Let's just go ahead and reopen and let half the population die and see if we can't fix our situation. Is there maybe a Thanos that we're not aware of? I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to say that Darwin is real.
Tell us about Darwin. He was a real person.
And I'm
He
just
said
trying
real
to
things.
say that if you are going places other than like I go out for work, I go to the grocery store because sometimes Joey and I need to eat. Really, I only go to the grocery store if like I order things and they're like, hey, they're out of whatever, and then I'm like, well, fuck, I got to go to another grocery store. That's typically what I'm doing out here. I'm not just, wandering the streets. Stay your asses at home. A little bit more.
Yeah,
little
if
bit
you
more.
need to eat at a restaurant, take it to go home. Don't sit outside. Cinco de Mayo, we went and ordered food from Salsa's last night. Fucking picked that shit up and took it home because there's too many people. You can't wear a mask and eat at the same time. And there's too many people sitting out on that porch with no mask, breathing all over each other and their food. And I'm like, I'll take this home.
Went out on Monday to Blaze over at the Tanger Outlets. We were like the only people in there. And then we sat outside and it was just us and like these two old ladies that were sitting like all the way across from us. So that's why we were like, okay, we'll just like
this feels fine.
Snack on it here because there's literally nobody here.
Well, we did it. It was right before everything shut down on that Friday or whatever. It was earlier that week. We had gone down to Melbourne, gone down to where Trevor's moving, and went to the Mexican restaurant. We were the only people in the restaurant for over an hour. It was us, and we're like, oh, I guess they are shutting down soon. And then like the next week, they started just takeout only. And we're like, oh, okay.
John says society is hell-bent on saving stupid people. Darwinism isn't a thing anymore. Zuri said give it a week and we'll see if the government's experiment worked. Just remember that now they're like, hey, our death toll is probably going to like triple. So
How exciting. What a time to be alive.
I can't wait to see everybody buried in mass graves. It's going to be really cool. Do you think we're guys going to have like mass funerals? Like they're just going to be like, hey, get on, here's the Zoom link to our mass funeral.
For your mass funeral. Jesus. Okay, so all of that dumb shit, and then you mentioned Star Wars and May the 4th and all that stuff, and I went down to comic book ring. So, first of all, I need to let you all know that CrimeCon this year has been rescheduled. And it is, I'm very excited because they're
It's in
like, no, we're still
October,
doing
right?
it. It is CrimeCon 2020.
I think it's October
It's
now.
in Orlando, and it's going to be at the same place. But now instead of this summer, when it was going to be rivaling all the other fucking cons and all that shit,
It's supposed
it's
to be
now
this
gonna
weekend.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, CrimeCon. We'll see you in October. Okay, so now it's going to be October 30th through November 1st. And I'm like, you are taking over my Halloween weekend. And assuming we're not all dead, I fully intend on having a fun. Like, I can't. It's Halloween, y'all.
It's Halloween
anyway.
and a full moon. Somebody is probably actually going to get murdered.
Oh, do it at my party. Okay, so
What?
hold on. We'll do a murder mystery party.
She said, "Do it at my party. Murder somebody
Do it at
at my
party.
house." Like,
Give me a heads up. I don't want to be that dumbass when the cops are coming to me and saying, "Ma'am, did you know?" And I'm like, "No, I had no idea." I would like to have a heads up and an option to get out. So, anyways, CrimeCon has been rescheduled for October and November. So, huzzah! Okay,
I know.
so that was the first thing that popped up. Then, let's see if I can get to this. There is, I don't know if y'all have heard of this. I guess it came out 2017.
Yes, it is a harvest moon, John.
Jesus. Blake Liebel. Have you heard of this at all?
I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Comic book writer accused of torture and murder of a girlfriend created a graphic novel containing a similar crime. So I wanted to tell you real quick about this. So this article's from September of 2017, and then I found an update in 18 where it went to trial and everything. But this man, because y'all, sorry I didn't send photos or anything. This man killed this woman. Okay. He's accused of the gruesome torture and murder of his girlfriend by scalping her and draining her body of blood in a Los Angeles apartment. Not just normal murder. He went, and so all those things you're telling me about, I was like, oh, I got one too. That's real gross. He had already written a fictional version of a similar crime in one of his graphic novels.
He's a cool dude.
This is what life imitating art. Blake Liebel, Leibel. At 36, was the son of a wealthy property magnate in Canada and is charged with the murder of his partner, Ukrainian-born model Iana Kasian.
Yeah, I have heard about this. Yes, I have heard about this.
Right? And it sounds, too, there's another one where they did a whole podcast on this. LA. Shit. It's something about live and die in LA.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of it.
And that was another model who also got killed by some guy, and it was the whole thing that the podcast wouldn't track that down. So, let's see. She had been tortured and mutilated, suffering a head trauma, scalping, and died from having her blood drained, according to a coroner's report. Mr. Liebel is charged with the murder, mayhem, aggravated mayhem, and torture, and could face the death penalty.
Let me tell you something.
Mayhem, y'all.
Like, Canada is wild too. I love the fact that you can charge people with mayhem and aggravated mayhem. Like
aggravated mayhem. He had reportedly lived in LA on an $18,000 a month allowance. Can you imagine getting that as an allowance?
I wish I had an $18,000 a month
allowance. With dreams of making it in the comic book industry, writing a number of stories based on violence and murder. He is credited with working on an animated version of the Mel Brooks film Spaceballs and creating a failed film comedy called Bald, publishing a graphic novel called Syndrome, which he described as grappling with, quote, the questions surrounding what provokes a person to commit evil acts. It's like, motherfucker, before you did your murder, you sat there and drew them out. You were already living it on your little paper in your fictional place in a safe place.
You're like, I wonder how to murder. Then you fucking did it.
He also wrote a screenplay for a film entitled Psychopomp, which focuses on a vigilante who beheaded people who opposed his personal code of conduct. Syndrome, which he apparently handed out for free at Comic-Con, opens with the television news reporter standing outside the prison where a serial killer is being kept on the night before his execution. One of the killer's murders is shown in the comic, in which a couple are hung naked from their feet with their throat slashed, causing them to be drained of blood. So let's see. Her autopsy was released as a part of a civil suit filed by her family, who are also seeking $56 million over her death.
I would
And
assume that it's premeditated, yes.
Oh, yeah. Dr. James Ribe of the LA County Coroner's Office said that her entire scalp was traumatically absent. What a way to word something. Her entire scalp was traumatically absent, and her scalp had been stripped to the bone with portions of her face torn away. She had suffered bruises and a bite mark to her face and had lived for at least 8 hours after receiving the head injury. Her death was recorded as exsanguination due to her body having been drained of blood.
I think
For fuck's sake.
That's the worst part, is that she was alive for 8 hours after this shit happened.
For 8 hours, y'all.
Wild.
Okay, so then
blink if I have the Rona.
So I went to the next article. Guilty verdict reached in the trial of graphic novelist who murdered his girlfriend. So clearly they went to trial for the 2016 killing of her. The details of the case are horrific. Blah blah blah. The Beat posted a detailed look at the guy who did the murder, the case, and the graphic novel back in 2016. And additional details about the murder can be found here. Sentencing for him was scheduled for June 26th of 2018, I think is when this was. But they did an update, and he has absolutely been found guilty of charges of first-degree murder, torture, and aggravated mayhem.
What a wild dude.
So those are my contributions to today's conversation. CrimeCon has been rescheduled, and this motherfucker killed his girlfriend.
Wild, crazy person.
Yeah, put it in his graphic novels. Good to know. Guys, check on your friends. Make sure they're okay.
Please.
If you have someone who's drawing out a whole lot of violent shit, maybe ask them if they've seen a therapist. Listen to them talk for a little bit.
Right.
Don't stay alone with them too often, but you know.
Yeah. Also, maybe check on your friends who work in the military and for the defense industry.
Yes. Especially if they got that secret job they can't talk about. Okay, well, don't tell me about your job, but where are you mental health wise, and do you feel safe?
Right.
Saying.
Sorry, I know you've been talking about cybersecurity. Blink twice if you need help. I can't see you, but drop in.
Blink twice. We'll hear it.
Drop in the comments and let me know you blinked twice.
Like blink.
Blink.
It's
She's
one blink that comes through. Wait 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Blink. Yeah.
Do you think your job is about to kill you? Yes, that's what you need to ask your friends. Do you think that maybe you might be murdered in the next couple of weeks? Like, if you were to commit suicide, how would you commit suicide? So that I know that if you didn't commit suicide that way, that you probably didn't commit suicide.
I think at this point, if she's got her feet tied up, her
it's
body
okay,
tied up, and a
Carrie
bag on her head.
May. You missed a really good story. So when this one gets published on our page, make sure you go back and listen to the actual story, because shit was wild, you guys.
Yeah. And guys, you can also treat this as a podcast. I know you love seeing our beautiful faces, but you can also just put this on as audio in the back, go do your dishes, handle some laundry or whatever, and just listen.
Yes.
To our dulcet tones.
If you ever miss anything and you're like, oh, I want to go back and do all these things, we do upload them on YouTube. I think YouTube is like 2 weeks behind right now. But we do upload them in YouTube after we get them formatted. And once we get them formatted for audio files, all of these will be up on Stitcher, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think it's Stitcher.
Good.
Yes, they'll all be up.
Okay.
It's Stitcher and Anchor. They'll all be up over there.
There you go. And then, did you have a game for us to play? Because I did.
Yes.
I did a thing.
Okay, do your thing.
Because I was gonna say we're gonna play a game real quick. For anybody who has to leave early, don't forget Sunday at 6:30. We're gonna be coming live, and we are covering Janis Joplin
and Jimi
Hendrix. So
if you have to dip out,
Yeah, that's fine. Go listen to your Jimmy and your
Joey
Janis
said nah.
all the rest of the weekend.
Not on Stitcher, on Anchor.
Oh,
We're on
yeah.
something.
Specify or not. um, you can definitely always catch us here. And like we said, as soon as this is done, we publish it to our
he
wall.
said not. It's any provider. You asshole.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joey.
Y'all, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
Let's just say that. We wouldn't have figured this out on our own.
It'll
Okay,
be something
so
where you listen to podcasts, okay?
Yes. Okay, so what was the question that made me do this research?
What do you mean, what was the question that made you do this research?
You asked me, who is my favorite?
Yes. Janine is like, yes, Janis Joplin. Yes, Janis Joplin.
I know.
So I asked Ange today. Spotify. Yes, we will be up on Spotify too. Anchor, I think, pretty much puts it out to everybody. So once it gets up on Anchor, we'll go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and one other place. I can't remember what the other one is. But those are like the three main ones that people use. So I asked Ange today, who is her favorite, like what's her favorite murder? And then who is her favorite serial killer? So go on ahead, Ange. Let me know.
Okay. Murder. We'll start with that one first. Selena Quintanilla Perez. Okay, so Selena, in case you guys aren't familiar. Oh, all of my mugs are up there. But anyway, I have bags. I have all this stuff. I love Selena very much.
Oh, Google Podcasts.
Born and killed in my hometown, Corpus Christi, Texas. She was the Tejano queen. She is fucking fabulous. Her last album, she didn't get to finish recording. It was supposed to be half in English, half in Spanish. She did all of her albums in Spanish, and she did not speak a lick of Spanish. She just learned it phonetically and then sang. It's real fun to do on karaoke. She's a lovely person and just an angel, and God knows where we would be if we still had her. But that bitch,
The one
Yolanda Saldivar. That bitch, Yolanda Saldivar.
The Carol Baskin of Angela's world.
Of the Selena. Yes, she is.
Our saint and goddess.
Yeah. She is. Oh, patron saint. She, her fan club president murdered her at the Days Inn in town by where we are.
Yep.
Yeah, she was embezzling. Yolanda was embezzling a whole lot of money. She got caught. She got called out, and she just absolutely didn't want to let go. And she was one of them psycho fans that was like, basically, if no one can have you, if I can't have you, no one can have you. And she murdered Selena, and it was very, very upsetting. And I remember being a small child, and it, made local news. Clearly, it was a big deal. And then her album, the English album, came out right in time for me to go, "Oh, I'm sorry, what happened?" And it just hit me at the right time. So that's my quote hometown murder. And my case that I'm just like, if this bitch hadn't decided that she needed to kill someone, we could have amazing things right now, but instead we don't. So that's the case. We are one day going to do a whole episode on that because you guys have to be aware of Selena. If you're not, you have to find out. Okay. Serial killer. And I told her, I was like, I want to go first in case this is hers too, but I doubt it's hers. Ed Gein.
Okay, no, that is not mine.
Okay, so Ed Gein. What were we doing? We were making our schedule or something the other day?
Yes, we were talking about nipple belts.
And that's the thing. Joey goes, someone made a belt out of nipples. And I'm like, it's my boy Ed Gein. Like, are you not aware that he made a belt out of human nipples? He sure did. This motherfucker is sick as fuck. And he's one that when people, you hear all the time that cops go into a crime scene, it's the worst thing they've ever seen. They came outside and threw up. Ed Gein. The worst I've ever heard of in my life. As far as every time I hear a podcast about it, I just go right into it and I'm like, yeah, heard about that. Heard about the human skin lampshade skulls and stuff around the house for decor, all that kind of crap. He's the one. Where did it go? His crimes were the inspiration for Psycho. First of all, the book and Hitchcock's film. The whole living at home with his mother, keeping her dead corpse, that kind of thing. His story was also loosely adapted into numerous films, including Deranged from 1974, In the Light of the Moon in 2000, Ed Gein, The Butcher of Plainfield, the Rob Zombie films House of a Thousand Corpses and its sequel, Devil's Rejects, He also served as the inspiration for lots of fictional serial killers, most notably Norman Bates in Psycho, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
And also
And then the
Bloody
character,
Face.
yes, and yeah, is that Asylum? Oh, he was
Yeah.
also the character of Dr. Oliver Threadstone from American Horror Story
Yeah,
Asylum.
who was Bloody Face?
So there's that. Let's see. There's a whole thing about exhuming his mother and all this stuff. But you guys, it's just the amount. Where did it go? Okay. Geen. Let me just see. He was also known as the Butcher of Plainfield or the Plainfield Ghoul and was an American convicted murderer and body snatcher. His crimes, committed around his hometown of Plainfield, Wisconsin, gathered widespread notoriety after authorities discovered that Geen had exhumed corpses from local graveyards and fashioned trophies and keepsakes from their bones and skin. He's that guy. That's him. He confessed to killing 2 women, only 2. The rest were all bodies that he stole. Tavern owner Mary Hogan, and then a hardware store owner, Bernice Warden. And he initially found he was found unfit to stand trial and all this other stuff. And they found him guilty but legally insane. So he's one, not so much a serial killer, because he really only killed 2. And then maybe he killed his brother and probably killed his mom. But the bodies and the creating of the art from the things.
Shit's wild.
It's so much. So that's my favorite. Not to be confused with Ed Kemper.
Who I am going to talk about.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So my favorite, like, murder story, and this was kind of like a hard pick for me, but I gotta say, I have always been interested in Gertrude Banishevsky. She, in, I believe it's the 40s, she basically took in these 2 girls from her daughter's school. Their parents were carnies, for lack of better terms.
Nice.
And they didn't want to go on the road with their parents. They were in high school. They didn't want to go on the road. So Gertrude, thinking, oh, this guy's going to pay me, she said, I'll keep the daughters and you just pay me every week to keep your kids. And it was something like $20 a week, $30 a week, something like that. Back then, that was a lot of money. So Gertrude, for some reason, and the girl's name is Sylvia. Gertrude, for some reason, just could not fucking stand Sylvia. And she began torturing this girl.
I know this one. Okay. I know.
Yeah, she began torturing this poor girl. They told people that she was pregnant. They told people she was a whore. They told people she ran away with a band of guys to go be a prostitute. But essentially, they just locked her in the fucking basement and forced her to eat dog food. Wouldn't give her a bathroom, forced her to piss and shit on herself. Burnt her with cigarettes, beat her. And they branded an S for slut into her chest, and they carved the word prostitute into her stomach.
And wasn't this, it's the person that was taking care of her, and she got the other kids involved.
All
too,
of her
right?
children. Yeah, Gertrude had 6 kids or something. Gertrude convinced all of her kids to get involved in this. And then not only did she convince her kids to get involved, but she convinced the neighbor children to get involved too. Shit is wild. Can you imagine, like, they've held that girl down and forcibly branded an S into her chest for slut. And then carved prostitute into her stomach.
Jesus.
They beat the shit out of her. Then she was finally allowed to, basically, somebody came in one day, a social worker came in one day, and her younger sister was like, oh, I want to tell the social worker what happened. And Gertrude tells her younger sister, if you tell, I'm going to do exactly to you what I did to your sister. So she says nothing. She says that Sylvia just ran away from home. Then because this is all of a sudden caused like so much of a ruckus in the home, they were like, Sylvia, you can sleep upstairs in your bed. Well, Sylvia at this point, from her constant beatings, they were punching her in the stomach every day. They were beating the crap out of this girl. From her constant beatings, she becomes incontinent, and every night she pees the bed.
Yeah.
And they beat her for peeing the bed and then force her to take baths in scalding hot water. Eventually, she dies.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one bit of reprieve that she got is that she I guess she was in a bathtub and she fell asleep in the bathtub and she passed away. So I guess that's kind of the sense of reprieve that she had. At least she was relaxed and kind of peaceful. Like that was that one moment of peace that she had. But again, the cops and a social worker come to the house and they're like, no, the kid's dad's, like Sylvia's dad wants to know where the fuck she is.
God. Yeah.
So they come to the house and Sylvia's little sister is like, I'll tell you everything. Because now the cops are there, the workers there, dad is there, and she's finally like, I'll tell you everything if you just get me the hell out of here.
Yep.
And she tells them exactly what happened. She shows them Sylvia's body. She explains everything to these people. Unfortunately, like when I say like it came too late, like the cops showed up like the next day.
Yeah.
After she died.
Yeah.
Gertrude,
Jesus.
of course, goes to prison. And one of the things that they noticed when they were doing a psychological evaluation of her, and this is like what makes me like super interested in like psychology and stuff. When they were doing a psychological evaluation of her, they noticed they had asked Gertrude to draw a picture of herself. And normally when somebody draws a picture of their hand, they draw like bubbles, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gertrude drew long, like, razor fingers.
Oh.
And basically these psychologists were saying that when you draw, like, razor fingers on yourself, that means that you have a negative view of yourself and you view yourself as, like, an evil or abusive person.
Oh, wow.
So Gertrude saw herself as evil, whether that was consciously or subconsciously. And then all of the kids... Oh, hi, Agata. Agata's watching.
Hey, friend. Welcome.
All of the
Talking about murder.
kids, because they were all juveniles, they all ended up basically being released from prison when they were like in their 20s. And I want to say, like, the youngest daughter who was involved, she went on to basically, like, raise her own family. But then everybody else was kind of just, like, they're constantly flying under the radar. They've all changed their names. It's a fucking wild case.
Some of the boys were, like, they turned out to be a hot mess.
Yeah.
Because basically she was running her own little family cult.
Yeah, she was telling everybody in the family that she was a whore, told everybody at school that she was pregnant, when really her daughter was pregnant. Her daughter got pregnant. And she basically told everybody that she was a whore.
So weird. Yeah, that's a wild case. Jesus.
It was just fucking crazy. And then my favorite serial killer is Ed Kemper.
There you go. Sweet angel.
I love Ed Kemper.
Like, y'all, it's such a messed up story, but he's such a sweet baby. Poor guy. I mean, really.
And he was just a dude trying to get by in life, and he just got handed the shit under the stick, bro. Our buddy Ed, he had a kind of fucked up childhood, like the rest of our serial killer friends.
Yeah.
He grew up and he was kind of just like, he was brilliant. He's a brilliant person, but he didn't really have like a whole bunch of like drive and ability to kind of care for himself. So he relied on his mom throughout his adult life. He goes off and he goes to school, and then he wants to become a cop, and he hangs out with all the cops at the cop bar, and he wants to be a cop, and he fails his exam, and he's not able to be a cop, but he still wants to have the cool cop aesthetic. So he gets a motorcycle, and then he gets into an accident, and yeah, that's my buddy Ed Kemper.
Oh.
He gets into an accident, and of course now he's definitely not able to be a cop because he's been injured. And he just gets like pissed off, and he takes like this comfort in like and murdering women, unfortunately. He is known as the co-ed killer, and really he's one of the few co-ed killers, because he's like co-ed killer of the West, and we have like separate co-ed killers of the East. But he murders women, and then he decapitates them, and then he fucks their skulls.
Yeah, because I think, wasn't it his mom that he decapitated her and fucked the neck hole? Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, you guys. There's only so much sympathy, but
he decapitates women, and then he fucks their heads, and then he buries them in his mom's backyard with their heads facing her bedroom, because she always wanted people to look up to her. So
that's right.
So he decapitated a bunch of people and made them look up to her. Seems legit. See, that to me is logical, Ange.
A little bit of premeditation, a little bit. Great planning. Really took it literally.
And you know, like his main issue, this whole like decapitation fantasy, he says comes from when he was a young boy and he saw a magic show. And you know, there's a magician who they have the little like fake guillotine thing, and they chop the partner's head off. And the partner was this beautiful like 16-year-old girl, and they chop her head off, and he like took like great like pleasure and enjoyment from that. He was like, oh, that shit is cool. And then he just went on to do it as an adult.
Question, was he the one, he had a brother and a sister, and his mom kept him in the basement so that way he wouldn't like try to hit on his sister for a while?
I think so.
Like, there was some weird shit like that, and he went and lived with his grandparents for a while, and then finally came back to his mom.
His grandparents were his first two victims.
That's right.
He killed his grandma just to kind of see what it was like. And then he killed his grandpa because he didn't think it was appropriate for his grandpa to see his wife stabbed to death. And then he called his mom in the driveway, and he was like, Mom, what do I do? And she was like, call the fucking cops, dummy.
You turned yourself in.
And he calls the cops, and they take him and they release him when he turns 21, because they're like, nothing wrong with him anymore. But really what it was that he had learned all of the correct answers to pass the psychological exams. I'm telling you, dude was fucking
He's so smart.
Brilliant.
I know. He'd sit there and study other people and learn what all needed to be said to make sure
he'd
that he
learn
was...
he's brilliant. And I love watching like his interviews, because you sit there and watch him, and like he's so articulate and he's so personable. He's just a murderer.
There's questions. Well, and that's what what's that show where they fictionalize him?
Mindhunter.
Mindhunter. Thanks, guys. He's a Mindhunter. And one of the things they say about him is like, the man won't shut up. He'll tell you anything you want to know,
right.
About where his mind was and all that. He's like, I just like doing it. It's like,
he's just a personable person. Like
good to know.
I
never sat there and said, no, I didn't do it. It was always like, I did it.
He was like,
this is what I did.
And he'd sit down and like shoot the shit with them, and he'd eat pizza with them, and he'd tell them about books he was reading. And Trevor's watching now. Okay.
Trevor says we're frozen.
You did freeze for a second.
Okay. Trevor, are we back? we're back.
Okay, yeah, I was
'Cause,
gonna
yeah,
say.
I'm watching on my little phone. I'm like, I see us moving.
Yeah, you froze on my screen for a second.
Kidding.
But yeah, he's a really cool, like, personable dude. Like,
Yeah.
he liked to eat pizza with police officers and drink with them, and like he was just a chill person. And like when they found out, when he confessed to murdering all these people, they were like, "No, stop it,
Ed? No.
no way!" And then like he was like, "No, for real, like I murdered all these people." Like, and he like does pottery. He did pottery and shit. Like there's photos of him doing pottery.
I wanted to see if he's the one.
HBO is doing somebody just posted a picture of it. Crime Docs or Crime something. HBO is doing a new documentary about the Atlanta child killings. Ooh.
Okay.
Can't wait to look at that.
That's what it was. Many audiobooks are read by celebrities or even authors themselves, but it turns out that some have been actually voiced by a serial killer.
Kemper.
Yeah, he recorded himself reading hundreds of books for an initiative known as the Blind Project. It was a campaign set up by the prison that housed Kemper. And even though Kemper, a fan of necrophilia, is serving 8 concurrent life sentences for murder of 6 female college students, according to the LA Times, blind people are incredibly grateful to him because he reads them. He does audiobooks, and he's real good at it. He's read
got
Flowers
a really
in the Attic.
nice voice.
Okay, get ready for these books, though. Flowers in the Attic. It's a fucked up book. The Glass Key, Merlin's Mirror, Petals on the Wind, The Rosary Murders, Sphinx, and Star Wars!
I'm gonna go download the Star Wars audiobook edition read by Edmund Kemper. No, like he was really just a genuine person. He fucking murdered people, and you're like, what the fuck, bro? Like, you were cool. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
Had a real bad hobby.
Yeah, and then he murdered his mom and fucked her neck hole. And
Guys, check on your friends and their hobbies. Make sure it's a wholesome hobby. Make sure they're doing okay mentally. Check in.
But yeah, what was your game, Ange?
That was it. I didn't have one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
And hey, it's 8:30. We did good. This is a good episode.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Wow. It's 8:30. Holy crap.
I know. Y'all, thanks for hanging out with us.
I hope they checked those audiobooks for subliminal murder messages.
Can you imagine?
Right. Okay, friends. I think that's it for today.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate y'all.
If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the comments. Slide them into our DMs. Facebook message us. Yeah. My brain was confused for a minute. Follow us on social media. They're all down here in the bottom of the screen. Where am I? Here or here, wherever they are. Here.
I'm off to the side. They should be right below you. They're over there for me.
Yep. They're all right there. Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Twitter. Follow us. We'll chit chat with you. Again, show notes will go up on Discord. Facebook and Instagram, we update pretty regularly with cases that we're doing. Twitter, if you message me on Twitter, I will totally respond to you.
She's the only one.
I will respond to you and will not.
I don't tweet.
But yeah, if you message us on Twitter,
bit.
I will respond to you. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, if you guys have Twitter, test that out this week. See if she responds.
See if I respond. Oh, like follow us too. Do that too. Follow us on all of our social media. If you're not following us, give us a follow. It would be cool. Please. I'm asking.
Hey, and tag a friend. Suggest our page for people that you think might like this.
Yes.
Because why not? We don't have to know them.
Yes.
They just gotta like what we like.
And on Twitter and Facebook, we will update everybody when our YouTube page gets current. Same thing with our podcasts. When those all go live, we will update everybody so you all know, so that if you miss anything or if you really want to hear about somebody again, you can re-listen to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then do you have Joey handy?
No, he's out there to... Just don't follow them around in real life. That would be weird. That would be really fucking weird, John. Please don't. That's fucking strange.
Do you have a song ready for the end? Is that even up in there?
Yeah.
Well, real quick, you guys, thank you so much to the Last Electric Rodeo for letting us use their song Bronze Age of Horror at our ending credits. If you haven't stayed before to listen to the song, stay. Jam a little. It's a lot of fun. And as soon as we get the final track of me singing the Trinity song, I'll change it to that shit because it's still a rodeo song, but it's my voice.
Sweet.
Yay.
Don't forget, come see us on Sunday, 6:30. Well, actually, I think we're doing Sunday at 7 because it's Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's better. Oh yeah, that's right. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes,
and then
happy
come
Mother's
listen
Day.
to our weird, sad deaths.
Yeah. So yeah, we will be on Sunday at 7 covering Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix at 7 p.m. right here where you're viewing my face right now. This will be here. Okay,
Get your snacks, get your wine.
Yeah, get
Come
your
hang
snacks, get your wine, get your margaritas, whatever you want. Come hang out.
Message
with
from
us.
Joey.
Yeah. Come on, Joey. What's your message today?
Bad fajitas are good soup.
I've never thought to do that.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I just
Good to know.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's real smart, you guys. The rest of the time, he's just a pretty face.
Janice. There you go, Janine.
Yay.
But yes. All right, you guys. Peace out. Be safe.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Wear your face masks.
Yes. We'll see you later.
Bye.
There's a house up on Haunted Hill where the Bronze Age monsters go to chill. Now golden and silver age are not to be spited. I'm sorry to say, but she's just not invited. Monster Mash is a thing of the past. To get into this body, you need no glass. Our jukebox is never out of order. We are the Bronze Age of horror. It's not Halloween if it's April Fool. 'Cause critters rule and ghoulies drool. So talk to the hand, leather face. Make way for the killer clowns from outer space. Bronze Age of horror. I'm a toxic avenger. I'm a hellboy. Where's my army of darkness? Come on, make some noise. It's a swamp thing. It's a native life. Pumpkinhead with a fork and Chucky with a knife. Monster Mash is a thing of the past. To get into this body, you need no class. You didn't know we're right around the corner. We are the Bronze Age of horror. I give the ring the finger. Blair Witch can be my Freddy, Jason, you're just alright. But we're hanging with the gremlins just after midnight. We are the Bronze Age of horror. The Bronze Age of horror. Underworld was overrated, and Blade made me wanna be sedated. Buffy's face just made me mad. I only scream 'cause it sucks so bad. Who's grateful for the walking dead? And Twilight could suck a Buffy wasn't a total bummer, but I